The lights in the grand ballroom of the Chicago Palmer House were dim, casting a soft glow over the velvet chairs and crystal chandeliers. I sat at a round table near the stage, my hands folded tightly in my lap, the weight of my award, a sleek, glass plaque engraved with Investigative Journalist of the Year, resting beside me. I'd dreamed of this night for years. The applause still echoed in my ears from when they called my name, Elowen Carver, to the stage. But now, as the room buzzed with chatter and clinking wine glasses, I couldn't shake the hollow feeling in my chest. I'd reserved 5 seats at my table, one for my mom, Maris, one for my younger sister, Tamsin, one for my cousin, Calix, one for my Aunt Vesper, and one for my best friend, Leora. 5 people I thought would want to be here, to raise a glass and share this moment with me. I'd sent the invitations a month ago, confirmed the RSVPs, even paid for their tickets to this black tie gala. But as the clock ticked past 7:30 p.m., those chairs sat empty, staring back at me like a silent accusation. I forced a smile when a colleague leaned over, her earrings sparkling as she asked, "Is your family running late?" My throat tightened, but I nodded, mumbling, "They'll be here soon." I didn't believe it myself. I kept glancing at the double doors at the back of the room, half expecting to see Mom's familiar silhouette or Tamsin's bright laugh cutting through the crowd. But the doors stayed shut, my phone buzzed on the table, and my heart leapt. Maybe it was them. Maybe an apology, a flat tire, something. I unlocked the screen and saw a text from Mom. My fingers trembled as I opened it, expecting a quick, "We're on our way." Instead, the words hit me like a slap. "You're not our priority right now, Elo. Enjoy your night." I read it again, then a third time, as if staring could make it say something kinder. "No sorry. No congratulations. Just a cold, careless dismissal." I set the phone down, my hands numb, and looked at the empty chairs. The room spun with laughter and music, but I felt like I was underwater, everything muffled except the echo of those words, "Not our priority." Then, another buzz. A notification from Instagram. Tamsin had gone live. My thumb hovered over the screen, a sick feeling twisting in my gut. I didn't open it, not yet. But I knew somehow that whatever I'd see would hurt more than the text. I sat there, my award gleaming under the chandelier light, surrounded by strangers celebrating me, while the people I loved most were somewhere else, celebrating something, or someone, without me. I stayed at that table longer than I should have, the weight of my award pulling me down like an anchor. The gala carried on around me, people laughing, speeches droning, the clatter of dessert plates being cleared. I kept my eyes on my phone, that Instagram notification from Tamsin still unopened, burning a hole in my resolve. I wasn't ready to see what they were doing without me. Not yet. Instead, I let my mind drift, trying to piece together how I ended. Up here, alone, in a room full of people clapping for me but not really seeing me. My name's Elowen Carver, Elo to most. I'm 42, a journalist who's spent the last 2 decades chasing stories that matter. I've written exposés on corrupt city officials, tracked down sources in dive bars at 2 a.m., and once spent 3 weeks in a small-town library to break a story no one else cared about. I'm the woman in the trench coat, hair always a little messy from running between deadlines, the one who asks the hard questions and doesn't flinch at the answers. But with my family, I've always been something else. The fixer, the steady one, the one who pays the bills and doesn't ask for thanks. There's my mom, Maris Vale, 68, with her sharp eyes and a voice that softens when she wants something. She used to balance checkbooks for a bank, but after Dad died 10 years ago, she stopped working, stopped trying, and started leaning on me. She'd call it family duty, but it felt more like a debt I never signed up for. Then there's my sister, Tamsin Lorne. Tam to everyone but me. She's 30, a dreamer with a laugh that lights up rooms and an Instagram feed that sparkles with filters and half-truths. Tam's an actress, or at least she tries to be. Auditions, headshots, acting classes. She's always one big breakaway from stardom. And I've funded most of it. There's Calix Dunn, my cousin 45, with a salesman's grin and a knack for bad investments. He runs a used car lot and always has a sure thing he needs a loan for. I've lost count of how many times I've wired him money, always with a promise he'll pay it back. He never does. Aunt Vesper Gale, Mom's older sister, is quieter. 65, with a habit of nodding along to whatever Mom says. She lives a block from Mom's house, always at family dinners, always watching but never stepping in. And then there's Leora Quinn, my college roommate, the one person who's never asked me for a dime. She's a graphic designer now, with a quick wit and a way of seeing through my walls when I try to pretend I'm fine. After Dad passed, everything changed. It wasn't sudden, like a storm. It was slow, like a crack in a dam you don't notice, until the water's everywhere. I was 32 then, just starting to make a name for myself at the paper. I had a decent salary, no kids, no husband. So when Mom called, crying about the rent, I sent the money. When Tam needed headshots, I covered them. When Calix's car lot needed a boost, I wrote the check. It was just what you did, right? For family. But just once turned into every month. Rent became my responsibility. Tam's acting classes became my burden. Calix's loans became my loss. And Vesper? She'd pat my hand at Thanksgiving and say, "You're so good at this, Elo. Not everyone's built like you." I told myself I was holding us together, building something solid after Dad was gone. But the truth was, I was disappearing. They didn't see me. They saw what I could give. Birthdays passed without a call. Family trips happened without an invite. I'd show up to Mom's house with groceries, and they'd talk over me, planning Tam's next audition or Calix's next deal. I was the bank, the safety net, the one who made their dreams possible while mine sat on a shelf, gathering dust. That night at the gala, as I stared at my phone, a new email popped up. It was from the bank, a routine statement for the account. I used to pay Mom's rent. I almost swiped it away, but something made me open it. My breath caught. There, in black and white, was a document I'd never seen. A lease amendment adding Tamsin's name to the property title. Mom had done it 6 months ago, without a word to me. I'd been paying for a house that wasn't even hers alone anymore. It wasn't just neglect. It was betrayal, quiet and calculated. And it made that text from Mom, "You're not our priority," feel like the tip of a much sharper knife. I set the phone down, my hands shaking, and looked at the award on the table. I'd spent years uncovering other people's secrets, but the biggest one was right in front of me. My family wasn't forgetting me. They were using me, and I'd let them for far too long. The gala was a blur now, the applause and speeches fading into a distant hum. I sat in that velvet chair, my award cold under my fingertips, the email from the bank still open on my phone. Tamsin's name on the lease, my sister's name, not mine, on a house I'd paid for year after year, felt like a shard of glass lodged in my chest. I wanted to call Mom, to demand answers, but my hands wouldn't move. Instead, I kept staring at that Instagram notification, Tamsin's live video, its little red icon pulsing like a warning. I knew opening it would hurt, but not knowing hurt more. I took a deep breath, the kind you take before diving into cold water, and tapped the screen. The video loaded, and there they were. My family, all of them, in a candlelit restaurant across town. Mom, her silver hair pinned up, was raising a wine glass. Tamsin, in a sequined dress, was laughing, her phone propped on a stand to capture every moment. Calix was clapping, his tie loosened, and Vesper was smiling, her hands folded neatly, in her lap. The table was strewn with plates of lobster and champagne flutes. The kind of spread I'd paid for too many times before. Tamsin's voice cut through the noise. To my first real role, thank you, family, for believing in me. The caption below read, My night, grateful for my squad. Chart Dream Chaser. I froze, my thumb hovering over the pause button. They weren't. Just somewhere else. They were celebrating Tamsin, throwing a party for her first role in some low-budget commercial, while I sat here, alone, at the biggest moment of my career. The math didn't add up. They'd known about my award ceremony for weeks. I'd sent the invites, called to confirm, even offered to cover their parking. And yet, they chose this. They chose her. I scrolled through my texts, searching for something. I'd missed some clue. That's when I saw it, a message thread between Tamsin and Calix, forwarded to me by mistake months ago during one of their endless group chats about family plans. I'd ignored it at the time, too busy to care. But now I opened it, and my stomach dropped. Calix had written, Elo doesn't need us at her thing. She's got her fancy award, her job. Let's focus on Tam. She's fragile right now. Tamsin's reply was a single emoji, a thumbs up. The timestamp was from a week ago, the day I'd reminded them about the gala. They hadn't forgotten me. They'd planned to skip it. I set the phone down, my hands trembling, and looked around the ballroom. A waiter refilled water glasses. A woman at the next table laughed too loudly. Everything felt wrong, like I was in someone else's life. I thought about all the years. I'd carried them. All the sacrifices I'd brushed off as just family. The $5,000 I wired for Tamsin's acting classes, no questions asked. The car repairs I covered for Calix when his lot went under again. The plane tickets I bought for Mom's family reunion in Florida. The one I wasn't invited to because there wasn't enough room. I'd told myself it was fine, that I was strong, that I could handle it. But this wasn't fine. I opened my banking app, almost on autopilot, and checked the joint account I used for Mom's rent. My heart sank. A withdrawal had been made that morning, $3,000 labeled Studio Fee Tamsin. No discussion, no heads up. Just my money, gone, to pay for whatever big break Tamsin was chasing this time. I stared at the screen, the POW numbers blurring as my eyes stung. It wasn't just the money. It was the assumption, the entitlement, the way they took and took without ever looking back to see what it cost me. I texted Mom, my fingers moving before I could stop them. Why? Didn't you tell me about the studio fee? Or the lease? What's going on? I hit send and waited, my pulse loud in my ears. Minutes passed. The gala was winding down now, people gathering coats, saying goodbyes. Finally, my phone lit up with her reply. Tam needs this chance, Elo. You're always okay, aren't you? You don't need the spotlight. I read it again, each word a pinprick. No apology, no explanation. Just that same tired line, the one she'd used for years. I was fine, so I didn't matter. I thought about the Thanksgivings where I'd cooked the turkey and paid for the wine, only to sit silently while they toasted Tamsin's potential. The birthdays they forgot, the calls that only came when someone needed cash. I'd been their backbone, their ATM, their invisible thread holding everything together, and they didn't even pretend to care. I scrolled back to Tamsin's Instagram Live, now ended, but the comments were still pouring in. Friends, cousins, even Mom's neighbor, all typing, so proud, and, you're a star. I searched. For my name, some mention, some hint that I existed. Nothing. Just Tamsin's glittering smile and a hashtag. Family first. The irony burned. Family first, unless your name was Elowen Carver. I stood up, my legs unsteady, and grabbed my award. The weight of it felt heavier now, not with pride but with clarity. I wasn't just overlooked. I was erased. And the worst part? I'd let it happen. I'd spent years telling myself I was building something. a family, a legacy, a home. But all I'd built was a cage, one where I gave everything and got nothing but empty chairs and a text that told me I wasn't worth their time. As I walked out of the ballroom, the cold Chicago air hit my face, sharp and unforgiving. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just kept walking, my heels clicking against the sidewalk, each step a question I hadn't dared to ask before. How long had I been invisible? And why had it taken me this long to see it? The Chicago streets were quiet as I walked home from the gala, my award tucked under my arm, its edges digging into my side. The city's lights blurred through a haze of fog, or maybe it was my own eyes, refusing to let tears fall. I kept replaying that Instagram video in my head, Tamsin's sequined dress, Mom's wine glass, the way they laughed like I didn't exist. And that text from Mom. "You're not our priority right now, Elo." It wasn't just a dismissal. It was a confession, one I'd been too busy, too loyal, too damn blind to see until now. I got to my apartment, a small one-bedroom with stacks of books and a coffee mug I hadn't washed in days. I didn't turn on the lights. I just sank onto the couch, still in my gala dress, the silk clinging to my skin like a reminder of a night that should have been mine. My phone glowed on the coffee table, Tamsin's Instagram live long over, but her profile was still open. I scrolled through her posts, each one a punch. Tamsin at a rooftop bar, Tamsin in a new coat, Tamsin with a caption about chasing dreams. Dreams I'd paid for. Dreams they all cheered for, while I sat in the shadows. Then I saw it. A new post, uploaded just an hour ago, while I was still at the gala, staring at empty chairs. It was a photo of the whole family at that restaurant, arms around each other, smiling like they'd won the lottery. Tamsin stood in the center, holding a mock-up poster for her commercial, her face airbrushed to perfection. The caption read, "Big things coming. Thank you to my family for always having my back. Family first. Star in the making." Comments flooded in. Cousins, friends, even Mom's book club friends all typing, "You're killing it," and "so proud." I scrolled, searching for my name, some flicker of acknowledgement. Nothing. Not a tag, not a mention, not even a vague nod to the sister who'd bankrolled their celebration. Just Rye family first, like a knife twisted in my gut. I opened my laptop, my hands moving on instinct, and logged into the banking app. I needed to see it again, to confirm what I already knew. The joint account for Mom's rent stared back at me. $3,000 withdrawn for studio fee, Tamsin. But I dug deeper, pulling up statements from the past 8 years. The numbers hit like a tidal wave, $92,000. That's what I'd given them. Rent payments, medical bills for Vesper, acting classes for Tamsin, loans for Calix's car lot. $92,000 wired silently, steadily, while I told myself I was helping, that I was family. But family doesn't erase you. Family doesn't take your money and throw a party you're not invited to. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Leora, my best friend. The one person who hadn't let me down. "Hey, you okay?" "Just heard something weird from a mutual friend about Tam's commercial. Call me." I didn't call. I texted back, "What did you hear?" Her reply came fast, and it changed everything. "It's not real, Elo. The commercial's a fake. They hired a photographer to stage it, to boost Tam's confidence. Paid for it with your money. They planned it to clash with your gala so you wouldn't show up and ask questions." I sat there, the phone slipping in my hand, Leora's words sinking in. It wasn't just neglect. It wasn't just Tamsin's ego or Mom's favoritism. They'd orchestrated this. Mom, Tamsin, Calix, Vesper, all of them. They'd taken my money, staged a fake celebration for Tamsin's career, and timed it to keep me away, knowing I'd be at the gala, smiling through their betrayal. And that lease amendment, putting Tamsin's name on the house I paid for. It wasn't a mistake. It was a plan, a quiet theft, and I'd been too trusting to see it. Something shifted in me then, not loud or fiery, but still, like the moment before a storm breaks. I wasn't sad anymore. I wasn't even angry. I was done. I opened the banking app again and navigated to the joint account. The next rent payment was due in 4 days, $2,100, set to autopay from my account, like always. I clicked Cancel Autopay. A small green check mark appeared. No warning, no, "Are you sure?" Just done. I felt my shoulders loosen, like I'd set down a weight I'd carried for years, but I wasn't finished. I opened my email and started typing. The subject line was blank. The words came fast, steady, like they'd been waiting. "I'm not your priority anymore, and you're not mine. Tamsin, congratulations on your commercial. I hope it was worth it. Pay for it yourself from now on. The house, the bills, the dreams. I'm done funding them. I've given you $92,000 over 8 years. I'm keeping what's left for me." I addressed it to Mom, Tamsin, Calix, and Vesper, and CC'd my lawyer just in case. I hit send, and the whoosh of the email felt like a door closing. I leaned back on the couch, my gala dress wrinkled, my award on the table catching the faint glow of a streetlight outside. I thought about that Instagram post again. Family first, and the lie of it burned brighter than ever. They hadn't just forgotten me. They'd chosen to erase me, to use my money for a staged celebration while I sat alone, believing they cared. But the truth was sharper than their betrayal. I'd let them do it. I'd given them the power to make me invisible. And that was the part that hurt the most. Not their choice, but mine. I stood up, walked to the window, and looked out at the city. Chicago was awake, its lights flickering like a pulse. For the first time in years, I felt awake too. Not the Elo who fixed everything, who paid for everything, who swallowed her pain to keep the peace, but the Elo who was ready to choose herself, even if it meant letting go of the only family she'd ever known. The morning after I sent that email, my apartment felt different. Not bigger or smaller, just mine. The sunlight slipped through, the blinds, painting stripes across the hardwood floor, and for the first time in years, I didn't wake up to a bank alert or a frantic call from Mom. I made coffee, real coffee, the kind I used to skip to save money for Tamsin's headshots, or Calix's emergencies. I sat on my couch, the gala dress crumpled in a heap by the door, and let the quiet settle over me. It wasn't empty. It was full, like the first deep breath after holding it too long. Then my phone started buzzing. Not one call, not two, 27 missed calls by noon. 15 from Mom, Maris, her number flashing like a warning. 8 from Tamsin, probably furious I'd called out her fake commercial. 3 from Calix, and 1 from Vesper. The rest were unknown numbers, likely cousins or family friends roped into their panic. I didn't answer. I let the voicemails pile up, each one a brick in the wall I was building between me and them. I played the first one, from Mom. Her voice was high, jagged, like she was trying to hold it together but failing. "Elawan, what have you done? The bank called this morning. The rent payment didn't go through. You can't just do this. Tamsin's finally getting somewhere. You're tearing us apart. This isn't what family does." I replayed that last line. "This isn't what family does," and almost laughed. Funny, because I could have sworn family didn't mean texting your daughter she's not a priority while you toast someone else with her money. Tamsin's voicemail was next, her tone sharp, entitled, like I'd stolen something from her. "Seriously, Elo? You're making Mom lose it. You didn't even give us a heads up. We were working things out. You could have talked to me first." Talked to her, like she'd talked to me before staging a fake commercial with my $3,000. Like she'd talked to me before putting her name on the house I paid for. I deleted it halfway through. Vesper's message was quieter, hesitant. "Elo, I know you're upset. I should have said something sooner. You've done too much for us." It wasn't an apology, not really, but it was the closest I'd get. I saved it, not because it fixed anything, but because it was the first time someone in my family admitted I'd given more than I should. By afternoon, the group chat exploded. Tamsin renamed it twice. Family crisis to fix this now, and added a broken heart emoji, like I'd betrayed her by refusing to be her bank. I didn't read the messages, just muted the chat and set my phone face down. But I caught one text from Calix before I did. "I warned them you'd snap one day. You were too good to us." I screenshot it, saved it, because when you've spent years doubting your worth, a single line can feel like a shield. Then came the Instagram stories. Tamsin posted a cryptic one, a black screen with white text. "Some people only care about themselves. Real talk." It had 200 views by the time I saw it, likes from people I barely knew. I didn't react. I didn't need to. She was rewriting the story, painting me as the villain, but I wasn't playing her game anymore. Leora showed up that evening, unannounced, with a bottle of wine and a hug I didn't know I needed. She sat across from me on the couch, her eyes searching mine. "Your mom called my mom," she said, shaking her head. "Said you're spiraling, that you're having some kind of breakdown. I told her she's full of it. You okay?" I looked at her, the one person who'd never asked me to be anything but myself, and said, "I'm not spiraling, Leora. I'm standing still. For the first time." She smiled, a real one, and said, "Proud of you, Elo. For real." That hit harder than anything else that day, because it was the first time someone saw me without expecting me to fix something. 2 days later, the bank emailed. The subject line was cold. "Notice of delinquent payment." The house, Mom's house, Tamsin's house, was at risk of foreclosure. No one had paid the rent. No one had even tried. They were waiting for me to cave, to be the good daughter who'd swoop in and save them. I closed the email and didn't respond. That same afternoon, I got a follow request from a new Instagram account. No profile picture, username random, numbers. I knew it was Tamsin, trying to sneak back into my life. I blocked it without a second thought. The next week, I did something I hadn't done in years. I lived for me. I signed up for a photography class, the kind I'd always wanted to take but put off because money was tight. I bought a camera, a real one, not the scratched-up phone lens I'd been using. I booked a solo trip to Iceland, a place I'd dreamed of since I was a kid, staring at library books about glaciers. I opened a savings account, named it Elo's Future, and watched the balance grow, no longer bleeding out to cover someone else's roof. I started writing too. Not articles, not deadlines, but a book. The first chapter was called When You Learn to Say No. It wasn't just about my family. It was about me, about the years I'd spent giving pieces of myself away, thinking that's what love was. I wrote about the gala, the empty chairs, the text that broke me open. I wrote about the house, the $92,000, the way I'd been invisible until I stopped being useful. And I wrote about this moment right now, where I was learning to belong to myself. A few days later, I got a package in the mail. It was from Vesper, a small envelope with no note, just a photo of me at 10, standing in Dad's old jacket, grinning at the camera. I remembered that day. He'd taken me to a newspaper stand, bought me my first copy of the Tribune, said, "You're gonna tell stories one day, Elo." I held the photo, my throat tight, and realized Vesper's silence all those years wasn't agreement. It was regret. It didn't fix the past, but it reminded me I wasn't crazy for walking away. The truth is, I didn't lose my family when I sent that email. I lost them the day they decided I wasn't a priority. All I did was agree with them. And in that agreement, I found something I'd never had before: myself. I learned that love isn't about how much you give or how quietly you bleed. It's about who sees you when you're not giving anything at all. Family isn't the people who demand your strength, it's the ones who help you carry it. I used to think saying no was selfish, that boundaries were walls. But they're not. They're doors, ones you open to let yourself out and the right people in. Silence isn't weakness. It's the sound of you choosing yourself. And every morning now, when I make my coffee, when I walk to my photography class, when I write another page, I hear that silence. It's not empty. It's mine. And it's the loudest thing I've ever known.